Hey everyone, Danielle here with our week 3 video in the Getting Started series. This week we're going to be talking about all types of adhesives that you could use for your paper crafting projects, so tape and glue and everything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started to keep this kind of short. The first two things I'm going to show you, they're called This to That and they're by American Crafts. And these are both permanent adhesives that you could use for your card making or scrapbooking. They are acid free, so they're photo safe. And like I said before, they are permanent, and these are also both refillable. So they're really easy. You just pop them open and you can buy the refills so you can use them over and over again. But I'm going to show you these two first. This one is, and the only difference between these two things is the way in which they are dispensed, like the tape that comes out. So this green one here will come out and it gives you a little picture right here as a solid strip. So I'll just go ahead and show you. They're super simple to use, so you just push it down and run it across, and hopefully you can see it'll give you a solid block of adhesive. And you can make it obviously as long or as short as you want by just running it across your paper. The second one is the same type of adhesive. It's permanent, except it'll come out in these little dots like this. So it shows you again on right on the dispenser how it's going to come out. And it's the same idea. You just push it down and run it across. It's going to be kind of hard to see in the photo, but instead of a solid strip of adhesive, you get little dots. And I use this a lot when I'm working with really intricate pieces of paper. So for example, this letter M, if I were to use a regular, like the regular tape like this, and run it over, it would obviously leave some excess hanging off, and it would be kind of a pain to use. But the nice thing about the one with the little dots is that I can run it over and the little dots will stick to the letter, and instead of having all that excess adhesive that would kind of stretch across the back of this letter M, the little dots just stick exactly to the paper. So hopefully you can kind of see that. So this one comes in handy a lot for when you're working with little small pieces of paper like that, things that are really intricate with a lot of cutouts. So those are the two most basic ones. Now if you're going to be doing a lot of paper crafting and a lot of taping and adhering, you should invest in like a tape runner. And so I use this one by Scotch, and it's called the Advanced Tape Glider, or ATG. You'll see a lot of people call it an ATG. And really it's the same as this. It comes out in a solid strip. It just has a really huge roll of the adhesive. So you're not constantly refilling it over and over and over again, which is really nice. It is a little bit bigger, but I don't have a problem with storage, so it works for me. They do different brands make smaller tape runners, so you could certainly look into one of them. But I use the ATG, and it's the same idea. You just push down this little button and put it down and drag it across, and it gives you a nice strip, solid strip of adhesive. And this is permanent as well, and it's also photo safe and acid free, so you can use it for photos and scrapbooking, not just card making. And these all work really well. I've used a few other adhesives that don't seem to stick quite as well, or they don't last, and my cards kind of start falling apart over time, but these three I've been super happy with. The other one I'll show you is the Stamp Runner by Tombow, and this is another permanent adhesive, and I just bought this the other day, and I haven't actually used it for a card. I've kind of played around with it. Same idea in that you can get a full strip of adhesive. This one's a little bit wider than the other two, I noticed. But the other neat thing is that it has this little square up here, this little square area, and what you do is you just put that little square face down, and this blue thing's going to slide. So you slide it down, and hopefully you could hear it, but it'll actually kind of stamp a little square of adhesive. So you can put that on the backs of photos, or I tested it out and used it on a little die cut. So like this butterfly here, instead of running a whole strip of tape, I can just take this and it'll punch a little square of adhesive right on the back. So that's kind of nice. But like I said, I haven't really used it a whole lot for cards, but so far so good. I do like it. I know a lot of people recommend it. And that's the Stamp Runner by Tombow. And it is this one is permanent. I'm not sure if they have a temporary one, but this is a permanent adhesive. The next thing I'll show you is a temporary adhesive. So if you're doing masking or coloring and you just want to keep a part of your paper blocked off or something like that, you would want to use a removable adhesive. And it works the same as the others. You just push it down and it'll glide on, and it'll give you a strip of the removable adhesive so that you could take, let's see, you could take a piece of paper and stick it down, and it'll hold it, you know, it'll stick, but then it'll also peel off really easily. It won't rip the paper. The only thing is that some of the adhesive might come off onto the back of your paper, but the beauty of this product is that you can actually just take your finger, or you could use an eraser, and the adhesive just rubs right off. So that's nice, like I said, if you just need to hold something down temporarily, if you're trying to mask off an area, that works really well. And that's by Tombow. Next, you might want to have an actual, just like a liquid glue. And so I use one by Tombow. It's their Mono Multi Liquid Glue. The nice thing about this is it can be removable or permanent, depending on what you need. And it has two tips. It has a pen tip, so you can get a fine little dab of glue, like that, if you're working in a small area. Or if you needed a broader application, it has this, they call it the broad tip. And so you just squeeze it, and then you can take the tip and it'll kind of smear it out like that. And like I said, it is permanent or removable. If you wanted to use it as a removable glue, you would put it on your paper just like this, let it dry, and then you could stick it where you wanted it and pull it off. If you want it to be permanent, then you would adhere whatever you wanted to stick permanently while it's still wet. So it's neat because you have the option of making it permanent or removable. The next type of adhesive I really like, and these are by This to That as well, American Crafts, and they're little foam dimensionals. And so you can get them in squares or circles. These ones are squares, and they are just little pieces of foam that are sticky on both sides. It's sticky on the back, so you peel it off, and then just like a band-aid, you would peel off the other half. So you have tacky on both sides. And it is just that, a little piece of foam to kind of lift up anything that you're going to be gluing to your cards or scrapbooking to give it some dimension. So for the card I made this week, I actually used a bunch of them, and hopefully you can kind of see the dimension that it gives through these little hearts. I could have just laid these all flat, but to give the card some dimension, since it was so simple, I just put a couple of these little foam tabs and stacked up the hearts instead. So these are really fun, and you get a lot in a pack. And I find I go through the smaller ones more quickly, but the nice thing is you can always take the bigger pieces and just cut them to the size that you would need. So that's fun, and those are foam dimensionals. The next thing I'm going to show you, let's see, that you might want to have on hand are glue dots. These I use more for scrapbooking, but they're really nice to have on hand for any of your projects. I use these to stick buttons down a lot because they are like super sticky and tacky, and they are permanent and they hold really well. So hopefully you can see they come on a roll like this, and they come in all different diameters of circles. The one that I'm showing you right now is 3/8 of an inch, and it'll tell you right up on the package what size it is. And they're super simple to use. You just kind of peel back the tape, and then there's your dot, and you would take a piece of paper or whatever you wanted to put it on and press it down, and then it comes right off. And like I said, these are super tacky, they're permanent, they're great for holding things in place really tightly. Especially if you have a bigger or a heavier embellishment, these are really nice because they are so strong. And they're acid-free, photo-safe too, so you can use them on your pictures and not have to worry. And they come, you can get them in the dots, or you can get them, they do make them in strips. But if you get them in dots, they do come in all different sizes. So, like, here's another box. These are smaller. These are only 3/16 of an inch. But they're nice to have on hand as well. The next thing I'm going to show you is a product that I use when I cut my ribbons. And forgive the needle sticking out of the top, but I keep it in there so that the tip doesn't get dried up and clogged. And it's called Fray Check, and it's by Dritz. And I got this at Joann's. You could get it at AC Moore. It's going to be in your fabric aisle or like sewing notions. So it's really nice to use when you are using ribbon, because a lot of times when you cut ribbon, the end tends to fray. And obviously if you're giving a card or wrapping a package, you don't want to give them a ribbon that has frayed. That wouldn't look really nice. So to keep a nice finished edge, I use this. and I've had this for 2 years, and as you can see, it's totally full. I've hardly even put a little dent in the bottle. But it's super simple. You just kind of squeeze it, and you just need the littlest bit, and you just run it right along the edge of your ribbon, and it'll dry completely clear, so it's not going to change the color of your ribbon or distort it at all. And it dries kind of hard. I did this end. It dries kind of hard, like almost as if you put a clear nail polish on it, but you know, it's not going to, you can't tell at all. It's not like a big clump of nail polish on here. You would never know that there's actually anything on there. So that's nice to keep your ribbons from frying, and I use that all the time. I used it on this ribbon here on the card. And the last thing that I want to show you is something that you absolutely have to have, even if you don't think you do, and it's glossy accents. And same as all the other things I showed you, this is acid-free, photo-safe, so you can use it with pictures, like on your scrapbooking layouts as well as on your cards. And you can use it in a whole bunch of ways, and I'll just show you 2 of the ways that I really like to use it. The first is as a regular adhesive, as like a liquid adhesive. It comes out kind of cloudy. I'll do a little dab on here. So it comes out like a regular glue would. It's a little bit cloudy, but it will dry completely clear. So you could use it just like that, stick down a button or you know, any sort of embellishment and use it like a solid, like a glue. The other fun thing you can do with it though is, let me see if I can find something to punch. You can always buy these really cute epoxy stickers. So these ones are circles, and they just kind of look like they have a clear, you know, clear layer over top of them. And they're really neat, and I thought, you know, instead of buying them, I bet I could make my own little embellishments like this. And you can with the help of glossy accents. So I'm just going to hole punch a little heart. And then I'm going to take my glossy accents, and I'll hold it with this pin. I'm just going to do, you know, a little layer of the glossy accents all over the front of this heart. And remember, like I said, it does come out kind of cloudy, but it will dry clear. And the other nice thing is that because it's not really runny, you don't have to worry about it spilling over the edge of whatever you're putting it on, unless you put like a ton. It's pretty much just going to stick to wherever you put it. So I would just do a layer of the glossy accents all over the little heart, let it dry. It dries relatively quickly, and then, let me slide this off. And then once it does set and dry, you end up with these really cute little kind of faux epoxy embellishments that you made yourself. So you can punch any shape you want, hearts, these ones are hearts, and circles, stars, whatever you want. And hopefully you can see, I'll try and take a picture if I remember. They've got this really nice, perfectly clear coating on top of them. I even did a larger one, another heart, and you know, it dries really quickly. Like I said, even though this was a bigger one, it was a little thicker. It did dry really clear. So they're really fun. You can make, you know, your own little epoxy embellishments. You don't have to worry about buying them. So it can add a really personal touch to any of the cards you're making. And one tip I have for you is if you do use this, to store a straight pin in the top, because it does tend to dry, the tip, the adhesive will dry in the applicator between uses. Even if you do use it pretty frequently, it does tend to just kind of dry up a little bit. So I just store a straight pin in it to keep it from drying, and every time I use it I just, you know, pull it out. And then when I'm done with it, I just pop it back in. So that's just my little tip of the day. But this stuff is really neat. There's a million other uses for it. Those are just 2. A lot of people will use it like over eyes, or if you have a window to make it look like a glass window, you could use this. So the possibilities are really endless. You can use this for just about anything. So I definitely, if I had to pick one thing, you need to get glossy accents. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, as usual, just let me know. And then this was the card that I made for this week. I used the foam dimensionals. I used my ATG gun to adhere down the heart and the ribbon. I used the fray check on the ribbons. And I used the glossy accents to glue down this little dot from Hero Arts. So I'll put a picture of the card, and like before, I'll link to all of the products that I talked about so you can check them out for yourself. And I hope you all have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.